Yes, so welcome again, gentlemen. Today we're going to be looking at perfect competition, okay, economics. Okay, so let's just recap the basics for profit positions. Total revenue is equal to the price per unit times the quantity sold. Okay, so total revenue or the total amount of revenue that you can make is dependent on how much you sell that unit or that thing, okay, and how many of those things you sold. Total cost looks at the cost per unit, so how much it cost you to buy that unit and the quantity that was produced. Okay, so if you bought something, or it cost you to buy something for 5 rand and you produced 100 of those units, okay, then it's 5 times 100, which is 500 rand is your total cost. So therefore, your profits is basically equal to your total revenue minus your total cost, basically equal to that minus that. Okay, let's look at some graphs. Okay, economic profits is the first one we're going to have a look at. First, draw a simple axes, the revenue and cost curve, and quantity and output. Okay, you remember Mr. Pot, gentlemen, okay, which is your marginal revenue, your price, your average revenue, and your demand. Okay, all of these are horizontal, and we'll have a look at another video of why they are all horizontal. Okay, you then got your marginal cost curve, which is basically your Nike tick, okay, starting here and going straight up. Then you've got your average cost curve, okay, which is cut the minimum points by the marginal cost curve. My drawing's a bit sketchy, but at the minimum points, okay, your marginal cost cuts your average cost curve, okay, and your average cost curve is basically like a smiley face. Okay, we're still looking at economic profits. So you see that line that was drawn in there? Why did we draw that line? Because that's the profit maximizing position where your marginal cost is equal to your marginal revenue. Remember, your marginal revenue is this horizontal line here. Your marginal cost is this Nike tick here. Okay, so at this point, you want to produce because at this point, your marginal revenue is equal to your marginal cost. Okay, and that's the quantity you'll produce. Okay, at the bottom, I've got your total revenue, total cost, and your profits. Okay, I'll be phasing all of these things in here one by one. Let's start off with total revenue. I'm not sure if you saw that box. Okay, look carefully. There's the purple box. Okay, that's your total revenue because that's your price, which is up here, Mr. Pod. Okay, times your quantity, which is here. So basically, you're timesing that by that, and you get that box that's being drawn in there. That's your total revenue. Okay, so all the shaded area here would be your total revenue. Okay, your total cost. See that line that just came in there? Okay, that's your total cost, which is basically your average cost. Look at the minimum points of your average cost. Okay, multiplied by your quantity, which is here. Okay, so already you know that your total revenue is this entire box here, and your total cost is a small section within this box. Looks like exactly half actually. Okay, then your profits is definitely going to be equal to your total revenue minus your total cost. Okay, and this shaded area that comes in there, okay, there it is. That'll be your profits. Okay, so that's the economic profit. Let's look at the normal profit, gentlemen. Again, okay, you've got your axes, your revenue, your quantity, outputs, okay, your marginal cost, the Nike tick starting here and going low and then going up because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, you then have your smiling face or your average cost curve. Now your Mr. Pod or your price, average revenue, demand, and marginal revenue is now cutting the average cost curve at its minimum. I told you already before when we looked at the economic profits, okay, that your marginal cost cuts the average cost at its lowest point. Now, so does your marginal revenue. Okay, so everything is in one point. Okay, we still produce quantity one. Why do we produce there? Because your marginal revenue is equal to your marginal cost at this point in time, and that's the profit maximizing position. Okay, now, not sure if you saw that purple box that just came in there. That's your total revenue. Okay, look at it again, your total revenue. Okay, it will then be your price, which is up here, times by your quantity one. So that entire box is your total revenue. Your total cost, on the other hand, gentlemen, okay, it's your average cost, okay, multiplied by your quantity one, which means it's the exact same box. Okay, so therefore your profit is zero because your total revenue and your total cost are exactly the same box. Okay, so you're making normal profits, and we'll have a look exactly what normal profits are. I mean, you might be making zero, but you're still making normal profits, and we'll have a look at why that is before the end of this video. Okay, and then lastly, if you look at the economic loss, we have the same axes. Okay, there's your Mr. Pod. Marginal revenue is equal to price, equal to average revenue is equal to demand at any points on this line. Okay, your marginal cost again doesn't change. Still that night tick. Okay, starting low, going up. Okay, but now your average cost. Okay, still getting cut at the lowest point by the marginal cost curve. However, now it's above the Mr. Pod or the marginal revenue, price, average revenue, demand. Okay, so what does that tell us? Which point do we produce at first of all? Still produce at marginal cost equal to marginal revenue at Q1. However, now our total revenue, okay, we'll have a look at them now. Okay, but our total revenue is this box. This is price times this quantity. Okay, our total cost now is larger than our total revenue though, if you look at it. Because now our total cost is your average cost, which comes up to here. Okay, and that's multiplied by your quantity. Okay, so your total cost you can already see is higher. Okay, so let's look at it again. Total revenue is that box that came in there. There it is. Total cost is that box that's coming in there. Okay, and then your profits or loss in this case, because obviously your costs, are higher than your revenues, and that's the area of your loss. Okay, so your loss, total revenue is smaller than total cost, and therefore you get an economic loss. So those are the three positions that you can have, gentlemen: economic profits, normal profits, and economic loss. Just have a look at some notes on the profit positions. Okay, so the profit paid to the entrepreneur is the normal profits. That's where you saw him making zero. Okay, but it's included in the average cost or the cost per item. Okay, so although it might look like he's making zero already, the opportunity cost has been included in there. So already, let's say his salary is already included in that normal profits. So he's not making abnormal profits or profits that are higher than his salary, right? When he's making normal profits, his salary is already included in those normal profits, and that's why we basically call it a profit. Okay, and then the firm can make economic profits where the average cost curve, that's that smiley curve, lies below Mr. Pod, marginal revenue, price, average revenue, and demand. Okay, that's economic profits, which makes sense. Okay, if the average cost curve is below our demand, our average revenue, our price, our marginal revenue, we're making economic profits. Our normal profits, that's when the average cost curve touches Mr. Pod. Okay, so the smiley face touches the straight line, Mr. Pod. Okay, this is a tangent or is tangential. Okay, basically it lies straight on that line. And then finally, the loss, the average cost curve is above Mr. Pod. Okay, so the smiley face is above the horizontal line, and therefore you get an economic loss. Okay, gentlemen, thank you.